I love game collecting. What's not to love about this hobby? Okay, fair point, we'll get to that, but my favorite part about collecting has to be how much junk you can zero in on. Cool manuals full of full color art, boxes, old magazines, gaming guides, cheat code books, and how could I forget? Box art you can buy from only one console, buy all the games in a series, or only buy the games you like. There's no wrong way to collect. And there's so much crap to collect and bullshit to buy, you'll almost actually have time to play the games you buy. Okay, I've got like 2 hours, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna finally start playing on Kami. Is that a dead rat? Signed by Miyamoto? Yeah, almost. Despite everything, I still love this hobby. I've been collecting for about 3 years now and I've built up something I'm really proud of. And now I'm gonna regurgitate 3 years of knowledge to you. But you read the title, you know what this video's about. So you wanna get into game collecting? Wow. Oh my god, he said the fucking title for the video. Just give me like 30 minutes, man, I got you. As a kid, I would say the big catalyst that got me into video games was getting my 3DS XL Christmas 2014. Before then, I didn't really play that many console games, so my main exposure to consoles was seeing what my friends were playing with. And so when I pulled up the recess with my dinky little chud DS Lite with sub 3 graphics and saw what my first grade friends were playing with, my kindergarten mind was f***ing blown. Your screen's like double the size of mine. I didn't even know they made screens that big. And the graphics. If I thought the DS games looked realistic, then these games look like fucking Real Life Plus. And when they showed me Dinosaur Office in 3D, I knew that was the peak of modern technology on a 240p screen, and I had to have it. I asked for it for Christmas, I got it for Christmas, plus 2 games. Opening this thing up on Christmas morning just felt magical. I remember so vividly that pure feeling of just awe in what this thing could do. I took so many photos on my 3DS that Christmas, man. I just love drawing on them, throwing on stickers, different filters. My 3DS, but more specifically, the camera app, was a fucking utopia for entertainment back in the day. And then you had the other junk on there. Face Raiders with the 3D freaked me the fuck out the first time, but it grew on me. Nintendo 3DS sound was awesome. I just kinda scream and say random stuff in there. Yeah, like that. Throw the robot filter on that shit and get the whole squad laughing back in elementary school. I got Sonic Racing, Namco Museum, Tomodachi Life a few months later. That was good. It wasn't that I didn't like playing on my 3DS, I'd gotten a couple more games in the following years, so I was just pretty content with the games I had. My 3DS was a significant part of my childhood, but I was just more interested in Legos, playing outside, watching cartoons, and other kid shit. So building up a large collection of games was never really something I wanted to do at that point in my life. But that all really changed around the winter of my freshman year of high school. I started watching more gaming-centered content, more specifically about retro games. Seeing these giant walls full of these classics I had never experienced, as someone who had only had a 3DS for most of their childhood, really made me want to get into the hobby at one of the worst times to do so. Now you might be wondering, why would it be so difficult to buy retro games in 2023? Retro gaming is dying! What? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the Wait, it's dying. Did you kill it? No, it wasn't me. Did you kill it? I don't know. What the fuck? Who did it? Nintendo! No! Wait guys, the stocks! What? Investors, come back!
I don't have any money.
Okay, I'll go a little bit more in depth. Remember the pandemic? During lockdown, a lot of more niche hobbies got super popular because people were bored and had a shit ton of time on their hands all of a sudden. So, fuck it. Why not buy a Wii Lawn on eBay and relive some childhood memories while we're at it? So then game resellers see all this new traffic during the pandemic and say, hey, we bump up the prices like $10, we can make a lot of money over this. Then the investors, all seeing a bubble being formed around a once innocent hobby, take advantage of this and say, remember how Mario 64 used to run you like a cool 10 at Goodwill? Well, I sold the my copy real good and got this random company I own 80% to say it's worth $1 million, so I guess Mario 64 is worth $1 million now? Sorry? And they do this to signal everyone, hey, you can make a lot of money off of this. Now, in the modern day, the average 60-year-old Facebook marketplace seller is a fucking masters in using price charting. Sees all the old games they bought for their kids that no one's playing and thinks, hey, I can make a lot of money over this. All these factors combined led to the reason why Piglet's Big Game went from $14 in 2024 to barely even a month later, spiking up to $100. Now you might be wondering, what the fuck is a Piglet's Big Game? How good is that young pork's first big game?
With a small mackerel of honey now, and just a small jar.
I think the better question is, did that matter? I feel like it's obvious that ever since the pandemic, game collecting has made a huge shift from a collector-focused hobby full of passionate people to the next big money-making industry, and I feel like a lot of the prices and trends are very indicative of that fact. That game grading and selling culture turned retro gaming from a hobby that allows you to experience games from years past to just assets that are sold and bought for profit. But hey, that doesn't mean you can't still build up a good collection of the quality classics you've always wanted. So hey, I know a thing or two about this collecting stuff, so I'll give you a couple tips to start your own little collection. Come on, let's go. When I had started out my collection, I didn't know anything about the average prices of retro games from different consoles. I didn't know which console was the best one to buy, which one had all the best classic games, but I did know one thing. I wanted a Wii. I had played Wii Sports for the first time in a while at a friend's house, and there was something about this console that instantly drew me in. From its Frigger Aero aesthetic to its low-poly, simple yet charming graphics, and most of all, its motion controls, the console really draws you into this whole vibe of this box looking like a thing of the future. It's so small and angular and had everything from the news, the weather, a photo viewer, a whole host of apps centered around connecting with others and getting the family involved. You can tell from what they were doing with the Wii and the DS at the time. Nintendo didn't just want their consoles to just be video game consoles, they wanted them to be hubs of everyday life, and that design philosophy gives the Wii an interesting history to look back on. And an even stupider game library. Okay, don't get me wrong, the Wii has a legendary game lineup with some incredible first-party games and underrated third-party ones, but that's not what makes this console special. It's all the motion-controlled garbage that ranges from fun, immersive, and actually enhancing the experience to just tastes good motion slop. And there's just so much of it. So many companies just wanted to pump the Wii with bullshit for so many reasons. The Wii's broad appeal brought in just so many different demographics that had never played a video game before, which made all the C-tier dev teams realize, wait a minute, these guys don't know anything about video games. We price their games at like $20 and they'll buy fucking anything. That combined with the relative popularity of licensed kids games and the cheaper cost of development for a weaker console is the reason why this number and this number are basically the same. But those 10 games, oh my god. You got Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, incredible platformers that feel so good on the Wii, Twilight Princess, alright motion controls, incredible pointer controls, and my favorite story and dungeons in the whole series. Skyward Sword, so underrated with incredible boss fights and dungeons, banging soundtrack. WarioWare Smooth Moves, one of my favorite uses of the motion controls for a short yet well-crafted single-player experience. And then you have the Wii series, Kirby games, Smash, Okami, Red Steel 2, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The point is that the Wii is a great example of the kind of console you want to start out collecting for. Something that's cheap, but has a quality library that you're genuinely interested in playing. If you want some examples, you got the PS4 for one. Rock solid controller design, great exclusives, all the multiplats you'd want to play are there. I mean, if I wasn't such a Nintendo fuck, I probably would have started collecting for that console. Xbox 360, Xbox One, OG Xbox, really collecting for any Xbox console is cheap as hell compared to collecting the PlayStation and Nintendo. PS2 is really cheap if you stay away from the JRPGs. You know, I would say Atari 2600, but I think I want to focus on consoles that people actually want to play. Nintendo 64, GameCube, DS, GBA, I would all put in the category of great libraries. I love collecting for all of them but the N64, but so many of those consoles greats are just so expensive. If you want to collect complete box N64 games, I hope you have a good credit score. If you only started collecting retro video games because you're a really big Pokemon fan and you're really interested in replaying those games you had during your childhood, or maybe playing those games for the first time, yeah, good luck with that. It sucks, especially for GameCube collectors. I mean, I love picking up a good GameCube game. This console has so many incredible third-party titles that just completely flew under the radar, and so many beloved first-party titles, but so many of those underrated gems are gonna run you 70, 80, 100, hell, why stop there? Your month's rent. It doesn't mean I don't collect for those consoles, I just do less than something like the Wii. Now, if you really want to save money while game collecting, you gotta find the best place to buy games for you. Now, I'd say there's about 3 main ways you can buy games. Method 1 being brick and mortar stores. Now, you got 2 kinds of stores. You got your chain stores like GameStop, Best Buy, Target, Walmart. Now, these places are really good for picking up any new releases if you want them day of release, especially Best Buy and GameStop. I pre-ordered my Switch 2 from GameStop and get that delivered on June 5th, so I trust GameStop with most of my pre-orders. Plus, one of their employees swindled a year's membership out of me, so I get some use out of it. Now, the second kind of store is my favorite when it comes to buying games in person. These are your mom and pop shops. Antique stores, retro game stores, flea markets. These are the kind of places you want to go if you're looking to buy the retro stuff. Retro game stores were and still are really cool to me. I just don't have that many in my local area, but whenever I get the chance, it's worth to take that hour-long pilgrimage to go to one. Now be careful, these stores can all range in pricing and inventory, so I'd recommend going to a couple of them before you decide to become a repeat buyer at any of them. The third and final choice is definitely the one I use the most, online marketplaces. These places are really good if you got some specific games in mind that you want to pick up. Now, because the area I live in, a lot of the more rare and iconic titles of a system's library just aren't at these stores most of the time, especially with the Wii and GameCube. Less Super Paper Mario, more Cabela's Dangerous Hunts, which is why eBay's here. I've heard you can get some decent deals on Facebook Marketplace and Mercari, but eBay's just the one to use the most. It's pretty easy to navigate and find the games you want. So, it's always been my personal pick of choice. But you might be thinking, what if I get scammed?
Oh,
but
shit, you're
like,
right.
I kind of feel like that message has been blown out of proportion. I've been using eBay for about 3 years now with nearly any issue. And like any issue I do have, you can contact the sellers, and they're honestly really respectful and helpful. I feel like most of that fear of getting scammed came from like, I don't know, internet stories and videos of people buying a new iPhone from there and getting like a fucking dead rat in the box. Like, personally, I don't really see any issue with that, but that's just me. Like, I'm sure there are scammers on eBay, but as long as you know how to navigate it, it's pretty easy to get a good deal on your games and avoid any scammers you might find. Now, when you're trying to buy games on eBay, there are a few terms you want to get yourself accustomed to. First, we've got box games, just the box art, game case, and the game itself. This is just your box standard game, especially if you're collecting stuff from the 8th gen and beyond. If a game doesn't use cardboard boxes or isn't a giant cartridge, for me at least, I'm just not buying it. Or I'm acting like I didn't. It's either a nice plastic case on the shelf or you're going in the drawer. I recommend buying from the store if you're trying to save money in the long run. You get the game, a nice looking case on your shelf, and you can always buy the manual and extras if you really want to. Next, we've got... What is it? Game only. This one's just fucking nasty, man. Like, sure, you're saving a lot of space and money, but like... if you're showing someone your game collection, what do you think would be cooler? Shelves lining the walls full of games, merchandise, and memorabilia? Or a dinky fucking binder in the corner? Like, of course you're buying these games to play them, but I'd assume you want to show them off in a somewhat presentable manner. That doesn't look fucking lame. Oh, okay. To clarify, I think it's a fine way of buying video games. As long as it's not the only way you buy them, because that's just sad. As a collector, you're just gonna have to draw the line yourself on what you're willing to sacrifice for a cheap price. It's not like I don't cut corners too. My copy of Donkey Kong Country has a big ass crack in it, only cost me $8 though, so it's fine. And sure, Madagascar might have some gum on it, but that doesn't make it any less worthy than my other games. Alright, next we got my favorite. CIB or complete in box games. Now this is where it's at. You got the OG manual and all the inserts included, the box art and the extras like music CDs and stickers, all for the fraction of the price of a sealed game. This is my preferred tier of game. I mean, I'm already going to play these games, why not just skip the step of unboxing and save a little money while I'm at it. These games are a little pricier than your box games, but still definitely worth the extra couple of bucks. Lastly, you've got new or new in box, which is exactly what you think it is. The game still has its original seal on it. It's in the same condition you find it in at retail. If you're trying to buy games on a budget, why the hell would you buy sealed games? Okay, I don't have anything against sealed collectors, but I kind of feel like collecting sealed games kind of completely defeats the purpose of game collecting in general. You buy these old games to play them, not treat them like Pokemon cards. Not only because it's more fun that way, but it's because it's the thing the medium's built around. Books, songs, and movies all have their minor discrepancies depending on the way you experience them, but I feel like video games are by far the most different in terms of re-releases and alternative experiences when it comes to collectible media. Compared to books that differ from physical to digital releases, music from analog to digital, and movies from DVD to streaming, video games are just naturally more complex experiences that, most of the time, can lead to completely different experiences when not running on the specific hardware they were made for. Even if a game can be ported, emulated, remastered, or remade, whether it's because of the progressing standards for video game development, or just because it's running on different hardware, these games can have entirely different features, gimmicks, control styles, glitches, or just even a completely different overall feel compared to the original, which is what makes these original releases that much more special. For a game like Ocarina of Time, despite the fact that the 3DS version improves on nearly every flaw of the original, whilst providing gameplay that's incredibly faithful to the original, playing through that old N64 game had a certain charm to it. Seeing those low-res textures, all the tricks they used to get this game looking as good as it did for its time, playing through the old water temple for the first time. Which wasn't fun at all, that was just shit. Fuck the OG water temple. but playing that original release with the original controller was still so magical and charming. Even using that original guidebook from the 90s for some of this game's side content made me feel some of that joy I felt playing this game for the first time almost a decade ago. I think if, as a budding collector, you sacrifice that experience because of a game's value as a hot button collectible or a high value investment, you miss out on the beauty and joy in that experience, a feeling that still remains the reason that I collect today. That's why I'm willing to spend the extra money in order to buy those original manuals, or get that old gaming magazine, or buy some component cables so I can get the best video output for my TV. It's because I believe in the magic of these experiences, and that almost phantom nostalgia you get when you interact with older media. Alright, now that you've bought all these games, you can finally play them, right? Well, you could, except for one problem. You buy all these games, and without shelves, they just get everywhere, man. In my food, in my shoes, in... How did that even... Okay, I need some... God damn it. And unless you want to be sleeping with the penguins in Madagascar, which, hey, don't blame you. What if I could? I've tried. And I'd recommend you get yourself a little organized. Don't worry, as an experienced collector, I know enough about keeping things organized in order to give you some good tips for your own collection. Hello, welcome to my bedroom/game room, and this two-shelf setup is where I keep all my games, systems, and TV. And there's a little tip, but I recommend getting a TV with AV outputs for the older consoles. I'm able to hook up my N64 via AV splitter to this TV, so AV outputs just make things that much easier. On the first one, I've got my Switch 2, Wii U, Wii, N64, and PS5 plugged in, plus all my other handhelds on this shelf. Another tip, I'd recommend straightening out your wire situation early on so you don't end up with the fucking weather storm I got going on behind my TV. I've tried many times to fix it before, but it's not even worth fighting at this point. On the other shelf, got all my games plus some extras on there. Wii first, then Switch, GameCube, 3DS, DS, PS4, and 5 at the bottom. I don't really have a particular reason for ordering my games like this, it just so happens that the games from the consoles I play the most are on the top shelves. Then up top, I got my magazines and some extra manuals, but wait, I've got a tip. Organize everything! Because you might be thinking, oh, I'm just buying games, but no! You're also buying consoles with controllers, both of which have their own wires and doodads that come with them. Then those consoles have their own accessories and guidebooks and their own wires, so many fucking wires. And wait, run it back to those games you just threw on the floor. Pick those up! And unless you want to be the host to just the worst sleepover, you're gonna need to put them somewhere you can keep track of them. Nicely! Moral of the story is, I should be taking anger management classes. And organize everything! Organize everything! Now, if you want to keep your consoles in check, I'd recommend buying a good shelf. Now, I don't have that. My TV stand was a cheap one I found while I was short on cash and space. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. They can still bitch about it though. My game shelf is much better. I actually kind of knew what I was doing when I was building it, so it's much sturdier. Still cheap. Would definitely recommend it for collectors starting out. They're Atlantic Media shelves, and they can hold a lot of games, DVDs, really anything you throw at it. But if you got the space and money, I'd recommend checking out IKEA stuff. Their shelves are much deeper and sturdier than these. Now let's take a look at what's inside the shelves. The games. Now my game collection is organized alphabetically, but you can organize yours however you want to, by color, order, favorites. Whatever method makes it easier for you to find your game should be the method for you. Now next we got the extras, stuff like amiibos, figures, and boxes. I like throwing them up on shelves as display pieces. They just look nice that way. Now the cables and extra consoles, I just put them into these two drawers. With cables, I recommend tying them up with rubber bands and putting them in separate bags so they don't tangle. Plus, it's pretty easy to just pick up a baggie and use the cord I need at that moment. Well, that's just about everything. Before I move on to the final part though, I want to leave you guys with one final tip. Don't feel pressure to collect games. You might be confused, like, wait, I thought you wanted us to collect games. But what I mean by that is, most of the time, you go on the internet and you see these massive collections full of games, and you might feel pressure to buy more games to fill up your collection. I felt that feeling too, but as I've spent these past 3 years building up a small yet meaningful assortment of titles, I've come to realize how silly that sentiment is. Like, wow, this guy's more financially irresponsible than me. Oh, the horror. I've also learned that you don't need a lot of games on your shelf for it to feel full. When I look at my shelf, I don't just think, wow, look at all these rare titles I own. Okay, I think a little of that. But I also think about all the memories I had with them. That summer I spent grinding out Mario Kart Wii time trials. That time we were all genuinely about to kill my homeboy because he kept sabotaging us in Mario Bros. Wii. My first time booting up Super Mario Galaxy. That time I got a 5 for 5 deal on GameCube games and found a genuinely fun 3D platformer in the midst of f***ing garbage. So yeah, my collection is small, but it's because I wanted it to be. I took breaks when I was busy with school or work or when I was really into a game, and I recommend you do the same too. Be intentional with your collecting. When you click purchase, make sure it's not a trend or a game reviewer making that decision for you, when it should really just be you. If I'm making a list of standouts, I feel like I've got to introduce an Animal Crossing game in there. This franchise has such a unique, everlasting, and damn addictive formula to it. You're just helping out your community, paying loans, making friends. So it's just life? Yeah, technically, but it's hard to call that when it adds such a fun spin to it. When the formula is done right, they nail this feeling of progression through the development of not just your town, but your friendships with the villagers. Now you might expect me to point out the GameCube original as an underrated classic, or New Horizons as a game that's downsides outweighs its flaws, but the entry that I believe best balances customization and gameplay elements has to be Animal Crossing New Leaf. I love this game. The in-home customization feels so in-depth. There are so many items and cool furniture sets to fill the largest house in the series with, on top of the touch controls making interior design so quick and simple. And the villagers feel so alive, they feel more like actual people. And on top of the little and big changes they made coming from city folk, this just feels like the most polished entry in the entire series. I'm definitely talking more in depth about this game at a later time. It's just so good. It's so hard to exactly describe how I feel about the Wii U because as much as I hate the utter lack of cohesiveness in its design choices compared to its predecessor, on top of its poorly designed gamepad with such a lackluster battery life, the Wii U has a good few titles in its library that are just so fun to play. I remember that snowy Friday in January when I picked up my Wii U with a copy of Super Mario 3D World. That weekend was one of the most fun gaming experiences I ever had. Even though Mario's moveset feels kind of weird and stunted, the ideas introduced in this game are so fun. The worlds don't really have a cohesive theme, which allows each level to have such fun and engaging themes and gimmicks. 3D World is such a comfort game for me. It's so good at keeping me engaged and just improves on 3D Land in every way. If someone was ever going to ask me about an underrated game that I think anyone should check out, it would have to be Beautiful Joe, man. This game is just so good. It's a beat 'em up with some light puzzle platforming elements where you use your movie powers to solve some puzzles and fight enemies, and man, just every element of this game feels so polished. The combat's just so punchy and satisfying when you're absolutely destroying these enemies. And the art style, it goes for just this awesome comic book aesthetic that just looks incredible and makes the game stand out so much. And this game is made by the Okami guys. Man, there's just something about playing a 2000s Capcom game that just hits different. Those guys were on a generational run back then. And speaking of 2000 Capcom games, we got an absolutely classic title, quite possibly one of, if not the greatest visual novel of all time, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. But I'm not just talking about the first game, I'm bringing up the whole trilogy. Oh my god. The Phoenix Wright trilogy, despite the fact that the trilogy wasn't even planned, just masterfully weaves this incredibly complex, interconnected story, whilst also creating one of the most engaging gameplay loops I've ever played in a video game. And it's just text! Okay, well, it's not just text. Let me explain. The average Phoenix Wright case revolves around some murder mystery you have to solve, with clues, evidence, and testimony gathered during your investigations coming forward in the trial segments, the real meat of the gameplay. This is where your theories of what happened are tested, though most of the time completely shattered, forcing you to rethink your train of logic in order to build the true story of what happened. You got witnesses that lie and withhold information from you, and so many twists and turns to make that final chapter of the story. Those final moments where you figure out the true killer and their true intentions, some of the most satisfying moments I've ever played in a video game. I picked this game up when the eShop was closing down. It was only $2 and it was probably one of the smartest decisions I've ever made. That and getting this checked out. Now this game, it's funny how I found it. I had no idea what the franchise was even about. I thought it was a fighting game like Street Fighter, and that concept didn't even appeal to me, but it was in the early days of the Switch 2 and I just wanted to buy more third-party junk, so I went to GameStop and came back with a copy of Yakuza 0, an open mind, and a 12-month non-renewing membership at the store. Damn it, the employees are good at their job. Rarely have I ever just stumbled upon a game like this, one that not only has an incredible story, but that's also just bursting at the seams with meaningful side content. Okay, I'll start with the story, which has to be one of the most gripping stories I've ever played in gaming. It's a dual narrative with two protagonists, Kazuma Kiryu and Goro Majima, and the structure of their stories is not only set up in a way that constantly builds suspense, but also one that slowly merges towards a common enemy. And it's so good at dropping red herrings and twists throughout the entirety of the story that take an already enticing concept and elevate it to the max. And even if it starts out slow, there's just an incredible wealth of side content that'll keep your attention. Bowling, fishing, poker, pool, karaoke, classic Sega arcade games fully playable in the in-game arcades, disco, and on top of all of that, 100+ sub-stories that honestly are also funny and well written. And this game is $20? Sega's charging us $20 for this masterpiece when 2K would charge us $70 to play the same game as last year with microtransactions? Wait, I'm getting a call. Yellow? Wait, so what you're telling me is Sega delisted Yakuza 0 and put out a director's cut that only adds in 2 cutscenes and a save function? And it costs $30 more? And they did the same thing with Yakuza 3 with a remake that's just significantly worse in several aspects? And Sega's a piece of shit? Piece of fucking shit? That's the thing. Sega delisted the OG and put up a more expensive version for $30. But even despite that, with the amount of content this game has, I still think it's more than worth it as a $50 game. And you can still buy the OG on GOG for $20, so just disregard everything I just said. Alright, now that should be... Only 5? But that should be 10 of them! This is serious. I made you a promise I could get you into this garbage within 30 minutes flat. I don't do that! This isn't like me! And if I can't even keep up my promise, why do I deserve this? I don't! Okay, this is serious. This garbage has spent the past 3 years collecting is at stake. And if I'm gonna have any chance of getting through this within the next 3 minutes, we're gonna need to enter the GameCube microphone. Such a weird nugget in Nintendo history. It's compatible with Mario Party 6. Okay, I'm kidding. There's more than that. I actually own half of the compatible titles, which gets a lot less impressive when you realize there are only 5 games that use it. Well, I have Mario Party and Chibi Robo. Apparently you can call Chibi Robo's name and I'll look at you. I'll be the judge of that. Chibi Robo. Damn. Luigi's Mansion. I love this game. One of my first GameCube pickups. You suck up ghosts in a haunted mansion. Simple concept, but it controls really well, and I love the graphics and art direction. It's a short game, only about 6 hours, but it makes it really fun to replay every once in a while. Nintendo Power magazines. I love these things. I've been buying them in lots on eBay recently, and they're really fun to thumb through. Seeing how people thought about the consoles back in the day, the old adverts for the games, the cool promotional art, it's just a fun way to spend an empty afternoon. The Mario RPGs. Paper Mario, Mario & Luigi, Super Mario RPG. They're also incredible. The Mario RPGs all take the standard turn-based system and add a twist to it. The partner system, bros attacks, action commands, all taking the done to death formula and making it feel so fresh and fun. That on top of all the new locales, either based on old Mario locations or entirely new ones, that make the plots of the game so varied and interesting. These RPGs have to be some of my favorite Mario series titles, surpassing even mainline Mario entries for me. I don't know. It. Tetris Deluxe on the Game Boy Color, with the special feature of be my only Game Boy Color game. I don't know what you want me to say, man. It's just Tetris. There's 4 modes, regular Tetris, and the other 3, you don't care about them. I don't care about them. They don't matter. You didn't come here for that. You came here for this. This game's really only fun in like a turn your brain off and just play for 2 hours kind of way. And that makes 10. I'm finally done talking about this junk. I've covered everything I've wanted to in the span of 30 minutes. Wait, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Something that's been hiding in plain sight this entire time. I don't know. Maybe it's nothing. I'll just check my... Okay, so I kind of forgot to talk about price charting, so I'm just gonna throw in this little segment at the end. Welcome to the cookie segment! Yeah! Now let's say, for example, I didn't own Cooking Mama. How would I go about finding it for a good price? You see, price charting is like a cookie. I like it. I can look up the prices for all of these games. It's just so convenient and easy. You can look at the prices of games in different conditions, complete in box, loose, sealed. You've got a graph that tracks the pricing history of these games, and when you start looking at stuff like this on a daily basis, you start noticing patterns. You might see a game's value skyrocket when a new title's announced. You might pick up on the average price of games for a console, or you might just be able to predict the price of a game before you check its value. I've kind of picked up on this over the years. You start to realize if you compare a game's supply and demand compared to similar titles on that console, you can guess a game's price pretty accurately. Now I can't lie, this deal in most cases... Oh my god! Oh my god, is that Animal Crossing for the GameCube valued at... $60?
Is it really useful?
Well, these bad boys are ready to get in the oven. And with all that Game Plus knowledge I gained, I was able to get a crazy deal on Cooking Mama. Saved by the bell. What's that smell? Somebody forgot to clean up. Let's go check on those cookies. Ooh, look at these beauts.
Well, as the French would say, eat the cookie, bitch.
And for all my celiac fans at home, I got you covered. Mmm. 5 out of 10.
That's my package! Wow, I have cookies in real life and in real game? Thank you, price charting.
Guys, talking about game collecting has brought back some incredibly positive memories for me. I remember what brought me into collecting, why I'm still doing it, and why video games are so special to me now. I've had some incredible single-player experiences, some of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. But now, as I look back on it, I realize my most notable moments in gaming weren't about the games, they're about the people I shared them with. Looking back over the past 3 years, I've had so much fun revisiting retro classics with my friends or even playing new ones with them. Some of my most fond memories I have are because of these games. But you might be wondering, why am I telling you all this? Well, I'm leaving for college in a few months. And as I've spent the past 30 minutes fondly reminiscing about these moments, I realize I just can't leave like this. Not without saying goodbye. I need to make some calls. You guys might be wondering why I brought you here today. Well, I wanted to say thank you. Thanks for always being there for me. Thanks for making these past 3 years some of the best years of my entire life. Thanks for giving me connection at a time where it was so important to my development as a person. And sure, I'm leaving. But not for long. It's only college, man. I'll always come back to visit during the holidays. College is just a phase anyways, man. I'm sure in the next 10 years, we'll be living near each other again. So, even if this is goodbye for now, I can guarantee it won't be for long.
I kind of hate you as a concept, but I'm glad you made it with you.
What the fuck, man? I hate you as a concept, you piece of a fuck.
Group hug.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I love you guys.
So